Hey guys, Grumpy here with the final episode of Terra Incognita, our advanced colony guide. In the previous episode, we went over maximizing profits using tools like AI cores, domain artifacts, administrators, and story points. And at the end of the episode, we concluded it by showing you how and when I choose to expand my empire. In this episode, we'll go over market income. We'll explain what the numbers mean, how to manipulate the market, and then how to increase your profitability from a more active stance, that being through methods like raiding, bombarding, or removing colonies outright from the market. We'll conclude this episode and the entire series with driving our competition out of as many markets as possible. So here we have Wraith. I think Wraith is the perfect example of what good colony practice can get you in vanilla Star Sector. We employed all the practices that I discussed in the previous episode. If you'll notice, in just about every industry and structure, we have domain artifacts. We also have alpha cores. We have an alpha core administrator. And I've spent story points strategically, that being in our megaport as well as in our commerce building. One way that we can do better, since we've done everything on our end of our colony, would then be to interact with the global market and really push our competitors around. So if we take something like fuel production, fuel is a really nice market to start in. So let's click here because it's very easy to monopolize. At the start of the game, there aren't very many fuel producers. Mainly, it's just the hegemony as well as Syndria. So if you can knock those two out of the market, which I'll show you how to do that, then you can stand to make a lot of money in this market. So to understand the screen, there are a few numbers to look at. So you have your global market value. This is 167,250. This is the combined value of all non-player colonies in the system. Each colony demands a certain amount of a commodity. That commodity has a value. The sum of those values make the global market value. Moving on to producers, this is the combined market share of all of your colonies within this market. So we have a combined market share of 69%. Moving on to the actual colonies, here we have Wraith. So we own this colony. It's a size 6 world. We produce 9 units of fuel. And we have accessibility of 251%. Accessibility is extremely important. If you have two colonies that produce the same amount of commodity, whoever has the most accessibility is going to be able to put more of that commodity onto the market. Then you have your market share. This is how much you own. Your market share is determined by your accessibility. So the higher your accessibility is relative to or any other colony, the more you are going to control that market. And as a result, you're going to have higher income. The formula for income is the global market value times the market share times any income modifiers that you have. So in order to get this income value, we would take 167,250 credits, multiply it by 0.42, since we own 42% of the market, or Wraith owns 42% of the market, and then multiply that by our income modifiers. So we have an alpha core. We spent the story point on commerce. We have a 50% Dealmaker Holosuite and commerce for income, so 2.25. And that gets you exactly 166,556 credits, which is what you would expect. So that's the market income screen. Now we need to talk about how to improve our standing. So just like in real life, you want to monopolize a market whenever you can. So you want to eliminate your competition. In this case, the fuel producing world, we have Nachiketa, which produces a substantial amount of fuel. What we would look to do is remove Nachiketa from the fuel producing market. Just like we would normally look to increase our colony profitability by using those 4 tools, AI cores, domain artifacts, story points, and administrators, we can use that in reverse to create a condition where our competitors are producing much less resources than they otherwise would be. One such way would be to head over to Nachiketa and remove the domain artifact that they have available to them, which is the synchrotron core, which gives them a boost to fuel production and productivity. We will battle these to fleets as well as the Nachiketa station and remove the synchrotron core from their world. And now what we want to do is we want to launch a raid against Nachiketa. We do have the option available to us to orbital bombard them. However, we won't do that in this case because Nachiketa, or the hegemony, is not hostile with us. At this point, we haven't done anything too rash to warrant hostilities between our factions, and we really wouldn't want to because that would affect accessibility. So we will launch a raid against them, and we will acquire their valuables. In this case, we're going to use the many Marines that we brought along with us in order to take their synchrotron core. So yes, we'll confirm. At this point, I'm going to spend a story point so that we don't take another reputation penalty with the hegemony. We're neutral right now. We're perfectly at 0. So they'll still be willing to trade with us. However, it'll just make the recovery of relations that much more difficult if we choose to be belligerent and we launch a raid with no special protection. So yes, we'll spend one of our story points and we will execute that. And as a result, we take their synchrotron core. So now we will leave. And if we go back to the command screen, and we look at Wraith, and we look at fuel, you'll notice that the numbers are now significantly different. When it comes to market share, total market share, we have 72%, whereas before we had 69%. And if you'll notice down here, way at the bottom is Nachiketa, whereas previously they had 10%, now they're at 6%, and they only produce 4 fuel. So we have gained even more market share within the fuel market. If we wanted to take it a step further, one option that we have available to us is if we wait 1 day, we can go back in and we can launch another raid against Nachiketa. And this time, instead of trying to take something from them, we want to disrupt their operations. So we can go in here and we can disrupt their operations. So we will target their fuel production as well as their spaceport, which affects how much material they can export, their accessibility. And we'll go ahead and hit select. Spend another story point on that. And now if we go and look at the fuel production market, you'll notice that Nachiketa is no longer even on this market, and we have even greater market share. As you remove competitors from the market, that market share must be reallocated to the other producers in that market. And that distribution is based on accessibility. So the more accessibility you have, the more market share you'll get once those numbers are reconfigured. Let's go ahead and show you what a more extreme example looks like if you were to pursue this path. By removing Syndria from the market, you can create a lot of market share and value for your colonies. So here we have Syndria, and as you'll notice, a lot of their industry are disrupted, and there are quite a bit of shortages. So they have 0 stability and negative growth rate. I did this so that I could reduce competition with Syndria. Syndria produces a lot of mixed goods in a lot of valuable markets. But again, because their faction is so small, it's very easy to target them and remove them as competition. So on their worlds, they have orbital works and fuel production, 2 very valuable markets. So if we look at, let's say, fuel, you'll notice here that they are not participating in this market any longer. That was because we took the synchrotron core from them, we disrupted their industry, and we disrupted their megaport. But say that isn't enough. Say you want to make sure that they never repair their megaports and they never return to a market. Well, the way you would do that is what I have started, which is launching a raid against Syndria and disrupting their operations. So you must disrupt them for a significant amount of time. So we'll do something like that. and we'll launch a raid against them. They already hate us, so it doesn't matter. And you're looking to reduce their stability. And if we go over back to colony info, you'll notice that their recent unrest is minus 61. You want to get this to at least minus 40, and you want to ensure that they have negative growth rate. The way you can do that is just through a combination of instability as well as disrupting their megaports so they can't import food. Then what'll happen is their world will eventually deteriorate, and then about a month after that, their world will decivilize and this colony will collapse. Okay, so we just got notice that Syndria is beginning to deteriorate. You do need to complete the Usurper's quest line. So it's a small quest line that takes place entirely within Asconia. Really fun to do, but Syndria is a protected market, so it can't collapse until this is done. Okay, so Syndria has decivilized. So now if we head over to Syndria and we click on it, there will no longer be a market there. So if we go over here, there are ruins which we can explore, but basically Syndria exists no more. What you'll notice is under fuel, Syndria no longer exists. In fact, they're not in any market whatsoever. There's only Volturn and Kruger left of those two. So I hope that's clear on how you can affect the market, how you can make it so that you can maximize your market share, and how you can maximize the amount of credits that you generate per month. So hope you guys enjoyed the series. It's been a ton of fun. The guides are titled so that you can skip ahead to the section of development that you're at. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the series. Other than that, Grumpy out.